15 rock legends, written off, dropped, fired, buried alive in their own decline, and told in plain language that they were done. Not struggling, not taking a break, done. These are the artists their own industry gave up on. The critics wrote the obituaries, the label stopped returning calls, the fans started using past tense, and then every single, one of them walked back in, some quietly, some with the force of a stadium-filling supernova. The comebacks on this list didn't just save careers. Some of them rewrote what a rock legend can actually be. And number one, you're going to want to sit with that one because it didn't just defy the odds, it redefined them. Number 15, Alice Cooper. Here's something most people forget about Alice Cooper in 1978. The man who wrote School's Out in one of the most recognizable rock songs ever recorded checked himself into a psychiatric hospital in Los Angeles that year. Not a rumor, not a headline he embellished later in interviews. His drinking had gotten so far out of control, he was hallucinating. The horror show theatrics were always a character. The alcoholism was real life. His career in the early 80s reflected exactly that. Albums came and went without sticking. The gothic shock rocker who filled arenas in 1972 was moving in smaller and smaller circles. The music press had done the math and stopped pretending otherwise. Then 1989 happened. A producer named Desmond Child, the man who'd been working with Bon Jovi and Aerosmith, sat down with a clean, sober Alice Cooper and made something nobody was expecting. The album was called Trash, and the lead single, Poison, was exactly that. Dark, slow-burning, hypnotic. It reached number 2 in the UK, number 7 in the US. His biggest chart hit in over a decade. But here's what gets me about this comeback. He didn't come back trying to be 1972 again. He came back fully present, fully himself. There's nothing desperate in that performance. Just a man who finally got out of his own way. And if you've ever watched someone disappear into their own worst habits and then somehow find their way back, you know that's not a small thing. That's everything. Number 14, Her Heart. I hear the ticking of the clock. I'm lying. Let me set the scene. It's 1984. Ann and Nancy Wilson have been making rock and roll since the early 70s. Barracuda, Crazy on You, Magic Man. To touch your lips and hold you tight. These aren't obscure songs. These are songs you hummed without knowing you knew them. But by 1984, the commercial momentum is gone. The label isn't calling with urgency. In the industry, which has historically not been particularly generous to women who played loud guitars and refused to be decorative about it, has quietly begun to move on. I wonder where you are tonight. Heart isn't finished, but a lot of people are acting like they are. Then Capitol Records comes in with the deal. The terms are uncomfortable: glossy production, outside songwriters, image control, and Wilson later described it as the most difficult creative period of her entire career. Nancy Wilson said it felt like they were being asked to become a completely different band. They did it anyway. And I was gonna tell you tonight. The self-titled Heart album in 1985 went 5 times platinum. These Dreams hit #1 with Nancy on lead vocals, the first chart topper in the band's career after more than a decade of records. The room's pitch dark. Then What About Love? Then in 1987, Alone from Bad Animals. #1 again. 2 #1 singles, back to back. Still my own, and my love for you. After the industry had basically decided to write them off. Now here's the thing, and I know some people see this differently. They sold a lot of records in that era, but did they get to make music that actually sounded like them? Some of y'all already know exactly which side of that argument you're on. Drop it in the comments. You don't know how long I have. Real talk, only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. #13, Motley Crue. In 2015, Motley Crue did something no major rock band had ever done. They signed a legally binding notarized contract promising never to tour again under the Motley Crue name. No reunion clause, no exit strategy. The kind of contract that says, break this and we sue each other. The farewell tour was called The Final Tour, and it felt final. The band had been falling apart in slow motion for years. Members fired and rehired, feuds that went public, chaos that made even their own biography look like a legal brief. By the time the 4 of them signed that document, most people who'd followed this band for decades believed them. 3 years later, they announced they were coming back. When asked about the contract, Tommy Lee essentially shrugged and said they all agreed to tear it up. Even their lawyers apparently had some thoughts about that explanation. But the December 2018 announcement was real. The plans were real. And the world that had watched Crue blow themselves up in slow motion suddenly had to accept they were doing it again. The stadium tour, Crue, Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett went out in 2022 after COVID delays. It grossed over $173 million. Here's what I'll say about that. You can argue about whether the contract meant anything. You can argue about whether it was purely financial. But $173 million of tickets sold is a conversation about demand, not nostalgia. The people who bought those tickets weren't buying irony. They were buying exactly what Motley Crue had always been. Some comebacks happen because the industry needs them. Some happen because the fans never actually let go. Number 12 is about a band that lost everything and then made one of the best-selling albums in the history of recorded music. Number 12, AC/DC. February 19th, 1980. Bon Scott is found dead in a car in London. He was 33 years old. He had been the voice of AC/DC for 7 years. The wild, grinning engine of everything that made this band feel dangerous and alive. And nobody who understood what Bon Scott meant to that band could imagine them continuing without him. The remaining members asked themselves the same question. Malcolm Young later said the only reason they decided to go on was because Bon would have told them to. That's the story. That's the whole reason they kept going. They found Brian Johnson, a singer almost nobody outside of a small circuit in Northeast England had heard of, through a handful of auditions. Within months, they were in a studio. Here's where the story stops making sense on paper. Back in Black has sold an estimated 50 million copies worldwide. It is the second best-selling album in the history of recorded music, behind only Michael Jackson's Thriller. The second best-selling album ever, released by a band that had just lost their singer, that was expected to either break up or quietly disappear. They didn't just survive, they made the most commercially successful record of their career. The opening track, Hell's Bells, begins with a single tolling bell and 4 minutes of silence. It's a tribute to Bon Scott. And then the title track comes in like something that's been waiting to announce itself. If you've ever been counted out, personally, professionally, any way that counted, and discovered something in yourself that surprised even you, Back in Black is that feeling, distilled into vinyl. Number 11 reunited a founding singer with the band that fired him after 35 years. Number 11, Black Sabbath. On April 27, 1979, Ozzy Osbourne was fired from Black Sabbath. The band he had helped build from nothing in a Birmingham factory town. The band that had invented an entire genre. They told him he was unreliable, that his substance abuse problems had made him impossible to work with, and they weren't entirely wrong. The recording sessions for Never Say Die the year before had been a 5-month ordeal in Toronto. Multiple members were barely functional, but when Ozzy walked out that door, it felt like something fundamental had been broken. Black Sabbath continued. They found Ronnie James Dio and made some genuinely great records. Then more lineup changes, then a brief Ozzy reunion in the 90s, then silence. The idea of the original 4 members, Iommi, Butler, Ward, Fry Osborne, recording a proper studio album together felt permanently out of reach. Then 2013 happened. 13, named because it was the first Black Sabbath studio album with Ozzy since 1978. debuted at #1 in 13 countries, including the United States, their first #1 in America in their entire history. Original drummer Bill Ward didn't participate due to a contract dispute. That absence had its own sadness. But Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Ozzy Osbourne, the riff, the bass, the howl, it was all there. And here's the part I keep coming back to. Iommi had been quietly battling lymphoma during the entire recording process. He didn't announce it. He just recorded. That alone is something beyond a comeback. That's defiance. That's a man telling the world exactly where he stands. Ozzy Osbourne passed away in 2025. But War Pigs will still be playing somewhere on this earth long after all of us are gone. Number 10, Kiss. February 28th, 1996, the Grammy Awards. Tupac Shakur walks to the stage in a Versace suit and addresses the room. You know how the Grammys used to be all straight-looking folks in suits, everybody looking tired, no surprises. We need something different, so let's shock the people. And from the wings walked Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Peter Criss, and Ace Frehley in full costume, in full makeup. The original Kiss lineup together on a stage for the first time since 1979. If you weren't there, go find the footage, because describing the crowd reaction doesn't do it justice. Here's the backstory. In 1983, Kiss had taken off the makeup, revealed their actual faces, tried to compete in the MTV era on new terms. They made some decent records. They found a new generation of fans. But the original Kiss Army, the people who grew up with the lunchboxes and the action figures and wore the makeup on Halloween, those people had never fully forgiven the unmasking. The seeds of the reunion were planted in August 1995 at an MTV Unplugged taping. Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons invited Ace and Peter to join them for a few songs at the end of the set. The fan reaction was so overwhelming, so viscerally clear, that the band couldn't ignore what it was telling them. The 1996 Alive/Worldwide Tour became the top grossing concert tour of that entire year. Over $43 million, 160 shows worldwide, complete with pyrotechnics, the original costumes, and everything the fans had waited 17 years to see again. The fans didn't just want the music. They wanted to be 16 again, standing in the dark with their arms in the air. And Kiss, against all reasonable expectation, gave them that. Number 9 built his entire legend the day he got fired. Number 9, Ozzy Osbourne. April 27th, 1979, Tony Iommi looks Ozzy Osbourne in the eye and tells him he's out of Black Sabbath. Fired from the band he helped create in 1968, from the only real home he'd ever known in music. Ozzy later said he thought his life was over. Not a figure of speech. He meant it literally. He holed up in a hotel in Los Angeles and by his own account spent weeks drinking himself into oblivion. No plan, no band, no clear future. What happened next involves a woman named Sharon Arden, daughter of Don Arden, the man who had managed Black Sabbath and helped push for Ozzy's firing. Sharon saw something in him that nobody else was even looking for anymore. She became his manager. She helped him assemble a new band, and she eventually became his wife. Blizzard of Oz arrived in 1980. The opening riff of Crazy Train is one of the most immediately recognizable sounds in rock history. And here's the detail that stays with me. Ozzy wrote Goodbye to Romance, specifically as his farewell to Black Sabbath, a grief song. In ending, it became a beginning. His solo career went on to produce over 115 million records sold worldwide, a dozen platinum albums across 5 decades. The man who thought his life was over in a Los Angeles hotel room became Ozzy Osbourne, singular, irreplaceable, and bigger than he had ever been inside the band that threw him out. He passed away in 2025 after reuniting with his original Sabbath bandmates for one final show before 45,000 people in Birmingham. The city where it all started watched him come home one last time. And if you've ever lost something you thought defined you and found out there was something even larger on the other side of that loss, you already understand what that night meant. Number 8 took 25 years of broken history and turned it into $500 million. Number 8, Guns N' Roses. Okay, this part gets complicated, but it's worth it. Stay with me. By 1993, Slash had left Guns N' Roses. Duff McKagan followed. Izzy Stradlin had already been gone since '91. Axl Rose was running a completely different band under the same name, and the world waited 11 years, literally 11 years, for Chinese Democracy. When the album finally arrived in 2008, it sold a fraction of what Appetite for Destruction had done. For the better part of 2 decades, the question wasn't whether Guns N' Roses could stage a comeback. It was whether Axl Rose and Slash would ever be in the same room again. The public falling out between those two men had been spectacular, even by rock and roll standards. It felt genuinely permanent. Then, in 2016 at Coachella, Axl, Slash, and Duff McKagan walked on stage together. And the Not in This Lifetime tour became the 3rd highest grossing concert tour in history. Over $580 million across 158 shows over 3 years on every continent. And when that opening riff of Welcome to the Jungle came in, if you were there, you know, it does something to the air in a room that no other song does. Here's the thing about a reunion like this. The people in those crowds weren't just buying nostalgia. They were buying the feeling of something being repaired. of two men setting 25 years of history down on the stage floor and just playing. You can't manufacture that. You can't fake what that sounds like. Some reunions are business decisions, some are genuine, and sometimes, just sometimes, the music makes the distinction for you. The next one walked back in without a word of warning. Number 7, the Eagles. July 31st, 1980, a backstage argument at a benefit concert in Long Beach, California.
Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely...
Glenn Frey and Don Felder are on the verge of coming to blows. The Eagles play the show, and then it's over. The band falls apart before the night is done.
Some dance to forget, so I call him the...
Don Henley is asked in interviews repeatedly whether the Eagles will ever perform together again. His answer becomes one of the most famous quotes in rock history.
Hotel California.
When hell freezes over. That's not a we'll see. That's not never say never. That is a declaration. 14 years later, in a country music tribute video for a Travis Tritt cover of Take It Easy, the 5 members of the Eagles appeared together on screen for the first time since the breakup. That brief, low-stakes appearance somehow reopens the conversation nobody expected to reopen. And within months, Henley and Frey are having lunch with their management team, talking about a reunion. In April 1994, they played 2 nights at Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank for an MTV special. The recording became the live album Hell Freezes Over, named with full self-awareness after Henley's own famous line. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard chart. It sold over 9 million copies in the U.S. alone. The tour that followed ran for 3 years, broke box office records at nearly every stop, and became one of the most financially successful concert runs in the history of rock music. And Frey's comment from the stage on the first night of the reunion, delivered with a smile, "For the record, we never broke up. We just took a 14-year vacation." That's how you write the second chapter. Number 6 is the most personal comeback on this entire list. And I want you to understand what was actually at stake.
Stealing eyes, but they just can't kill the beast.
Number 6, Def Leppard. New Year's Eve, 1984. Rick Allen is 21 years old. He is the drummer for one of the biggest rock bands in the world. Def Leppard has just come off Pyromania, which had gone 10 times platinum. Rick is driving his Corvette on a winding country road near Sheffield, England. He loses control. The car flips. His seatbelt severs his left arm. Surgeons reattached it in a 4-hour operation. An infection 5 days later made the amputation final. Rick Allen was 21 years old. He had just lost his left arm, and the band he had played with since he was 15, a band that had built everything on the energy he produced behind that kit, was now in the middle of recording their next album. When other drummers started calling to inquire about the vacancy, Joe Elliott told them in language that couldn't have been clearer, "Dear, that the position was not open." Here's what gets me. Within 3 months of the accident, Rick Allen was back in rehearsal with Def Leppard, practicing on a custom-built electronic kit designed specifically to allow him to play with one arm, using his right hand and both feet to generate what two hands had done before. He debuted the setup at the Monsters of Rock Festival at Castle Donington in August 1986 in front of tens of thousands of people. And then Hysteria came out in 1987. It sold over 20 million copies, 7 singles, the biggest album of Def Leppard's career. Rick Allen plays with Def Leppard to this day. And if you've ever been told your limitation was the end of the story, you know exactly what his drumming means. Number 5, David Bowie.
Take your protein pills and put your helmet on.
By 2006, David Bowie had been publicly quiet for 2 years. He'd experienced a heart scare in June 2004, a blocked artery found after chest pains during a concert in Germany. The rest of the tour was canceled. And then he said something rare for Bowie. He said almost nothing at all. A year became 2, 2 became 5, 5 became almost 10. No albums, no interviews, no tour dates. Occasional unexplained public appearances. The music press started running retrospectives, late career assessments, carefully worded tributes that didn't quite want to say what they were really saying. On January 8th, 2013, David Bowie's 66th birthday, a single appeared online without any warning. No press release, no pre-release campaign, just Where Are We Now? Uploaded quietly to YouTube at some point in the night, deeming a notification on his website that a new album was coming. The album was called The Next Day. It had been recorded entirely in secret in New York City. Every musician involved had signed a non-disclosure agreement. His UK publicist found out 4 days before it dropped. The label found out around the same time.
8, 7, 6.
The Next Day debuted at number 1 in the UK, his first chart topper there since 1993. Critics called it his best work since Scary Monsters. The cover was the artwork for Heroes, with a white square taped over it, like Bowie was both erasing and citing his own past at the same time. He released Black Star on January 8th, 2016, his 69th birthday.
Ground control to me.
He died 2 days later. What he was doing in those final years, the silence, the secrecy, the art that only made complete sense in retrospect, was one of the most considered things any rock artist has ever done.
Nothing I can do.
He turned a decade of absence into the setup for the most devastating closing chapter in the music. Some people make comebacks to prove they're not finished. Bowie made his to prove the whole thing was intentional from the start.
10, ground control to me.
Number 4 took 28 years to get back to number 1, and nobody saw it coming.
This is Major Tom to ground control.
Number 4, Santana. By the mid-1990s, Carlos Santana was considered a legend. in the most polite sense of the word. You know what that means? It means people revered what you had done. Spoke of Woodstock and Abraxas and Santana III with enormous affection, and quietly assumed your best work was behind you. His label deal with Columbia had ended. 2 albums for Polydor had come and gone without traction. He hadn't had a number 1 in the U.S. since 1971, 28 years. He reportedly told friends he was facing serious financial difficulties. He'd later say in interviews that he might have been a hobo without his wife, Deborah, organizing his affairs. He told music executive Chris Blackwell he had a masterpiece in him. Blackwell released him from his contract without penalty. Arne and Santana went to Clive Davis, the man who had originally signed him to Columbia in 1969, and laid out what he wanted to do. Supernatural came out June 15th, 1999. 28 years after his last U.S. number 1, Santana was back at the top of the Billboard 200, where it stayed for 12 non-consecutive weeks. The album sold over 30 million copies worldwide. At the 2000 Grammy Awards, it won 8 awards in a single night, tying Michael Jackson's record from Thriller. Smooth with Rob Thomas topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 12 weeks. Maria Maria followed for 10 more. The Guinness Book of World Records documented it as the longest gap between number 1 albums by any artist. "28 years. And if you were anywhere near a radio in 1999, you already know where you were when you first heard that opening guitar line. Number 3 went from rock bottom to rock royalty by choosing to get clean. Number 3, Aerosmith.
I could stay awake just to hear you.
By 1982, Aerosmith had both of their founding guitarists gone. Joe Perry had left in 1979, mid-tour, after a backstage argument, because the chaos had gotten to a level where nobody could work.
Then I kiss your eyes and thank God, yeah.
Brad Whitford followed in 1981. Steven Tyler was so deep in heroin addiction that basic recording sessions had become impossible to complete. The band limped through Rockin' a Hard Place in 1982. It didn't go platinum. Nobody was surprised. Perry and Whitford eventually returned. The full original lineup was back by 1984, but 1985's Done with Mirrors, their first record with the reunited lineup, failed to generate any real commercial momentum. The Addictions were still running the operation. Then Run DMC happened. In 1986, Run DMC released a version of Walk This Way that introduced Aerosmith to an entirely new generation. And suddenly the phone was ringing again. The band entered rehab. One by one, all 5 members got clean. Steven Tyler later said in his autobiography that Permanent Vacation in 1987 was the best album we'd made in 10 years, and the first one we ever did sober. 'Cause even when I dream of you, Permanent Vacation peaked at number 11 on the Billboard 200 and sold over 5 million copies in the U.S.
'Cause I miss you, baby, and I don't wanna miss a thing.
Do, Looks Like a Lady, Angel, and Ragdoll all hit the top 20.
And I don't wanna miss a thing. 'Cause even when
2 years later, Pump went even bigger, and the reunion tours that followed became among the most lucrative in rock history.
watch you smile.
Wikipedia describes it as the single most successful comeback in the history of heavy metal, if not all of popular music. That's not an exaggeration. That's just what happened. Some of y'all just said the name of the first Aerosmith song you ever heard. I know, I heard you. Number 2 held the Guinness World Record for the most ticket requests for a single concert in history. Let that land for a second before we get there. Number 2, Led Zeppelin.
And a new day will dawn.
John Bonham was found dead on September 25th, 1980.
If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed.
He was 32 years old. 3 months later, the remaining members of Led Zeppelin issued a statement. Without John, they could not continue. That was it.
Wait a minute.
No farewell tour, no final album, just a statement and silence. In the 27 years that followed, the surviving members, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, and John Paul Jones, appeared together exactly twice. Live Aid in 1985, which Plant later called an atrocity. The Atlantic Records 40th anniversary concert in 1988, which he described as foul. They were not good shows. And then in 2007, they announced a tribute concert for Atlantic Records founder Ahmet Ertegun, who had passed away the year before. Ertegun had signed Led Zeppelin in 1968. The show would be a reunion, with Jason Bonham, John's son, on drums. The website for ticket registration crashed within minutes of the announcement. When the dust settled, Guinness World Records confirmed what had happened. Over 20 million people had applied for fewer than 20,000 available tickets. The most demanded single concert in the history of live music. On December 10th, 2007, they played for 2 hours at the O2 Arena in London. Good Times, Bad Times, Ramble On, Dazed and Confused, Stairway to Heaven, Kashmir. 16 songs. And backstage, Plant and Page and Jones stood around a young drummer who carried his father's name and something else, something harder to name, an inheritance, a completion. Robert Plant kept saying no to a full reunion tour. He had other music to make, other roads to follow. Some people resented that. And some understood that the O2 show was what it was precisely because it was one night, unrepeatable, shaped by everything that couldn't be recovered or replaced. That's a different kind of comeback, not back to something, back for something. Number 1 is the greatest comeback in rock history. And the man didn't try to sound young or relevant or contemporary. He just told the truth. One guitar, one voice, in someone's living room. Number 1, Johnny Cash.
I keep a close watch on this heart of mine.
By 1992, Johnny Cash was playing residencies in Branson, Missouri, a kind of polished, low-stakes entertainment destination in the Ozarks.
Both day and night, and the happiness I've known proves.
He'd been dropped by Columbia Records in 1986 after nearly 30 years with the label.
The tide, because you're mine. Walk the line.
He was dealing with health problems, a recent relapse of his drug addiction, a crisis of confidence that, according to people close to him, was as serious as anything he'd faced in his life.
For you, cause you're mine. I walk the line.
The Man in Black was being talked about the way people talk about something that's already over. Then a hip-hop and heavy metal producer named Rick Rubin, who'd made records with the Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, and Slayer, called.
It's dark and day is light. I keep you on my mind.
Cash had no idea who Rick Rubin was. He said as much in later interviews, but they met backstage at a club in Santa Ana, and something happened in that conversation that neither of them entirely predicted.
Days through. Yes, I'll admit that I'm a fool for.
Cash later described Rubin as looking like the ultimate hippie, bald on top, hair down over his shoulders, a beard that had never been trimmed, clothes that would have done a wino proud.
Hello, George.
And then he said they had everything in common. What Rubin wanted to do was strip everything away. No Nashville production, no string sections, no session players trying to make it contemporary. Just Cash, one guitar.
Wide open all the time. I keep the.
In a cabin in Tennessee and later in Rubin's living room in Los Angeles. American Recordings came out on April 26, 1994.
Easy to be true. I find myself alone when he.
Rolling Stone called it monumental and viscerally intimate. Leonard Cohen heard it and said, "I didn't believe my ears."
You've got to wait.
Young people who had been raised on punk and hip-hop and grunge, started coming to Cash concerts.
I keep a close watch on this heart of mine.
And they told him what the album meant to them. Cash reportedly said he hadn't expected anything from it at all.
For you, cause you're mine. I walk the line.
The album was followed by 5 more in the American Recording Series, Unchained in 1996, Solitary Man in 2000. The Man Comes Around in 2002.
Hello, Lobel. I find it very, very easy.
And then in 2002, a music video for his cover of Nine Inch Nails' Hurt, filmed while June Carter Cash was hospitalized and weeks before his own health would begin its final decline.
I keep my eyes wide open all the time.
It's one of the most devastating pieces of film in the history of rock and roll.
Proves that it's right, because you're mine. I walk the.
Cash's manager later said those American Recordings albums probably added 10 years to his life because he had something exciting to do again.
As sure as night.
That's not a commercial metric. That's a human one. And if you've ever been told you're past it, too old, too far gone, too out of touch to matter anymore, and you kept going anyway, then you already understand exactly what Johnny Cash did in that living room.
I keep a close watch on this heart of mine.
This is what a rock legend looks like when they stop trying to prove something and just become themselves entirely.
Line.